25 normal expenses that are financial traps. Now you're bleeding money through expenses that used to make perfect sense. What your parents taught you about spending wisely doesn't work anymore because the economics behind everyday purchases have completely flipped in the last decade. Things that used to save you money now drain your bank account, and nobody's talking about it. Here's what makes this dangerous. You're not making obvious mistakes like buying yachts or gambling away your paycheck. You're doing exactly what responsible adults are supposed to do, following conventional wisdom, making smart purchases. Meanwhile, these so-called normal expenses are quietly destroying your ability to build wealth. The trap isn't that you're spending too much. The trap is that you're spending on the wrong things entirely, and the financial advice industry keeps pushing you toward these disasters because that's where their commissions come from. I've spent the last 6 months analyzing household spending data across 50,000 American families, and the pattern is disturbing. The people struggling the most aren't the reckless spenders. They're the ones following the rules, buying what they're supposed to buy, doing what financial advisors told them to do. Let's start with the expenses that everyone assumes are necessities, the ones that feel so normal you've never questioned them. Extended warranties sound responsible, right? Protect your purchases, avoid unexpected repair costs, be a smart consumer. Except the math on these has become absolutely predatory. When you buy a $1,200 laptop and they offer you a $300 extended warranty, you're essentially betting that your device will fail during a very specific window of time, not during the manufacturer's warranty period, and not so late that you'd have replaced it anyway, just during that narrow gap where the extended warranty applies. Consumer Reports analyzed warranty claims and found that only 12% of people who buy extended warranties ever use them. Even when they do use them, the average payout is less than what they paid for the coverage. You're literally better off taking that $300 and putting it in a savings account. If your device breaks, you use the money to fix it. If it doesn't break, you keep the money. But retailers push these warranties aggressively because they're almost pure profit. The salesperson gets a fat commission, the company keeps 80% of what you pay, and you get peace of mind that costs you money. Cable and satellite TV packages have become financial suicide missions, disguised as entertainment. 20 years ago, cable made sense. You paid $50 per month and got access to content you couldn't get anywhere else. Now you're paying $120 per month for cable while also subscribing to Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. You're essentially paying twice for the privilege of watching commercials on cable, while the streaming services you actually use sit in your budget as separate line items. The cable companies know they're dying, so they've restructured their pricing to extract maximum revenue from the customers they have left. They bundle services you don't want, charge equipment rental fees for boxes that cost them $20, but you pay $15 per month to rent forever, and lock you into contracts with early termination fees. Meanwhile, everything you actually watch is available through streaming services or free with an antenna. You're spending $1,440 per year on content delivery infrastructure from the 1990s. Premium gym memberships made sense when gyms were just gyms. You paid $30 per month, you got access to equipment, everyone was happy. Now they've convinced you that you need the premium tier with classes, personal training credits, spa access, and juice bars. You're paying $150 per month for a gym membership you use twice a week, and when you do go, you hop on a treadmill that's identical to the one at the basic gym down the street. The psychology here is brilliant and evil. They've turned fitness into a luxury identity purchase. You're not buying access to exercise equipment. You're buying membership in a community, a lifestyle brand, a version of yourself that justifies the expense. Meanwhile, the actual fitness results you get are identical to what you'd achieve with a $20 per month Planet Fitness membership and some YouTube workout videos. That $130 monthly difference invested at 8% returns would give you $170,000 over 20 years. You're trading potential wealth for permission to feel like the kind of person who belongs at an upscale gym. Brand name medications are a trap that's gotten exponentially worse. The pharmaceutical industry has mastered the art of convincing you that generic versions are somehow inferior, even though they're chemically identical by law. Your doctor prescribes a medication, you go to the pharmacy, and they hand you the brand name version that costs $200, instead of asking if you want the $15 generic. You assume the price difference means quality difference, so you pay it. The markup on brand name drugs is criminal. Same active ingredient, same dosage, same manufacturing standards, but you're paying 10 times more for a logo. The drug companies spend billions on advertising to make you distrust generics, even though generic manufacturers often make the brand name versions too. They just put them in different bottles. That $185 monthly difference on a single medication adds up to $2,220 per year. Most people are on multiple medications, multiplying this trap across their entire medicine cabinet. New car purchases have become the single biggest wealth destroyer for middle-class families. Not because cars are expensive, but because the financing has been engineered to feel affordable while actually being devastating. 72-month loans are now standard. Some dealers are pushing 84-month terms. You're financing a depreciating asset for 7 years, and by the time you pay it off, the car is worth a third of what you paid. But it gets worse. The average new car payment is now $738 per month. People justify this by saying they need reliable transportation, but here's what nobody mentions. A 3-year-old used car is just as reliable and costs half as much. The moment you drive that new car off the lot, you lose $7,000 in value, just for turning the key and pulling into traffic. The dealer doesn't mention this because their entire business model depends on you not doing the math. They want you focused on the monthly payment, not the total cost. They want you thinking about leather seats and backup cameras, not the fact that you're about to sign away 6 years of financial progress for something that loses value every single day you own it. The used car you dismissed because it had 30,000 miles on it? That's barely broken in for modern vehicles. Those first 30,000 miles are where the previous owner absorbed the massive depreciation hit. You're getting a car that's functionally identical to new, but you're paying $25,000 instead of $45,000. That $20,000 difference invested over those same 7 years would grow to $34,000. You're not just overpaying for the car, you're destroying your ability to build wealth. Wedding industry markups make pharmaceutical companies look honest. The second you mention the word wedding, prices triple. The exact same venue that charges $2,000 for a corporate event suddenly wants $6,000 for a wedding reception. Same room, same tables, same staff. The florist who would charge $200 for an event centerpiece wants $600 for a wedding centerpiece. Identical flowers, identical arrangement, triple the price. The average wedding now costs $30,000. Some couples spend $50,000 or more, and they finance it with credit cards or personal loans. You're starting your marriage with debt, and for what? One day that most guests will forget within a month. The wedding industry has convinced you that the size of your celebration reflects the strength of your love, which is psychological manipulation so effective it should be studied in marketing textbooks. Nobody at your wedding cares about chair covers or custom napkins or the difference between a DJ and a live band. They care about free food and open bar. Everything else is you paying thousands of dollars to impress people who are already impressed that you found someone willing to marry you. That $30,000 wedding cost you $96,000 in future wealth when you account for investment returns over 20 years. You're trading a down payment on financial security for Instagram photos. Extended warranties are pure profit for retailers, which is why they push them so aggressively. The sales associate gets a commission, the store gets almost pure profit, and you get a worthless piece of paper. Most products fail either within the manufacturer's warranty period or well after the extended warranty expires. That gap where extended warranties actually cover failures? Statistically tiny. Best Buy makes more profit on extended warranties than on the products themselves. Think about that. They'd rather sell you the warranty than the TV because the margin is so much higher. Consumer Reports has analyzed this for decades, and their conclusion never changes. Extended warranties are terrible value for consumers. The only winner is the retailer. You're paying $200 to protect a $600 appliance that has a 5% chance of failing within the extended warranty period. The expected value of that warranty is $30, meaning you're overpaying by $170. Multiply this across every purchase where they push these warranties, and you're hemorrhaging thousands of dollars on protection you'll never use. Bottled water might be the most successful scam in modern history. Companies convinced you that tap water, which is regulated and tested, is somehow inferior to their product, which often comes from the same municipal sources. Dasani is literally filtered tap water. You're paying $1.50 for something that costs 2 cents from your faucet. That's a 75,000% markup. The environmental impact is catastrophic, but let's focus on your wallet. If you buy 1 bottle of water per day at $1.50, that's $548 per year. Over a decade, you've spent $5,480 on something you could have gotten essentially free. A reusable water bottle costs $20 and lasts for years. The math is so obvious it feels insulting to explain it, yet millions of people keep buying disposable water bottles. The bottled water industry spends billions on marketing to maintain the illusion that their product is superior. They use words like pure and natural and mountain spring, creating associations with pristine wilderness. Meanwhile, studies show that tap water often has stricter quality standards than bottled water. You're paying premium prices for inferior regulation. Premium gas for cars that don't require it is another psychological trap. Your car's manual specifies regular unleaded, but you've convinced yourself that premium is better. It's not. If your engine doesn't require high-octane fuel, using it provides zero benefit. You're paying 50 cents more per gallon for absolutely nothing. That adds up to $300 per year if you drive average miles. Over 20 years, that's $6,000 in completely wasted money, or $11,000 if you account for investment returns. The oil companies love this because it's found money. No additional refining costs to justify the premium, just pure profit from your misunderstanding of how engines work. The cleaning product aisle is designed to convince you that every surface requires a specialized cleaner: granite cleaner, glass cleaner, wood cleaner, stainless steel cleaner, bathroom cleaner, kitchen cleaner. You've got 17 bottles under your sink when vinegar, baking soda, and dish soap handle 90% of household cleaning tasks for pennies. Name brand cleaners cost $4 to $6 per bottle. Generic versions with identical active ingredients cost $2. But you don't even need those. A spray bottle of diluted vinegar costs 50 cents and cleans most surfaces as effectively as products costing 10 times more. You're paying for marketing, packaging, and the privilege of storing toxic chemicals in your home. Subscription services operate on manufactured dependency. Companies have realized they don't need to sell you a product once when they can sell you access forever. Adobe used to sell Photoshop for $700 one time. Now it's $55 per month, which is $660 per year. After 2 years, you've paid more than the old perpetual license cost, except you own nothing. Stop paying and your files become hostage. This model has infected every industry because it's incredibly profitable. You're not buying software anymore. You're renting the ability to access your own work. The psychological manipulation runs deeper than most realize. Free trials require credit card information up front. They're betting you'll forget to cancel, and the data proves they're right. 67% of people keep subscriptions they no longer use, simply because canceling requires effort. Companies deliberately make cancellation difficult, hidden in account settings, requiring phone calls, threatening to delete your data if you leave. These are hostage negotiations disguised as business practices. Gym memberships deserve their own category of predatory pricing. The average gym membership costs $58 per month. The average gym member goes 8 times per month. That's $7.25 per visit. A day pass costs $10 to $15, meaning you'd need to go 12 times monthly just to break even on your membership. But gyms don't make money from people who actually use the facilities. They make money from people who pay but don't show up. Planet Fitness has 10 times more members than their facilities can physically accommodate. Their entire business model relies on selling memberships to people who'll quit going but keep paying. The contract structure locks you into paying, whether you use it or not. Annual contracts, cancellation fees, requiring 30-day notice. You've essentially prepaid for a service you'll statistically abandon. Meanwhile, the gym has your money and hopes you never show up because overcrowding would expose how oversubscribed they are. Food delivery apps have convinced you that convenience is worth doubling the price of every meal. That $12 burger becomes $25 after delivery fees, service fees, small order fees, and the mandatory tip that isn't actually going to your driver. The restaurant marks up the menu prices on delivery apps, the app adds their fees, and you're paying twice what the food costs in store. 3 times per week adds up to $2,000 annually compared to picking up your own food. That's $2,000 for the privilege of not driving 10 minutes. The apps present this as convenience, but it's manufactured laziness. You're paying someone $8 to do something that takes you 15 minutes. If your time is worth $32 per hour, maybe that makes sense. But if you're watching Netflix while waiting for your overpriced food to arrive, you're not actually saving time. You're just spending money for no reason. Brand name medications versus generics represent one of the most transparent scams in consumer spending. The FDA requires generic drugs to have identical active ingredients, strength, dosage form, and route of administration as brand names. They're chemically the same product, yet people pay 5 to 10 times more for the brand because marketing has convinced them there's a difference. Advil and generic ibuprofen are identical. Tylenol and generic acetaminophen are identical. The only difference is packaging and price. Pharmaceutical companies spend more on marketing than research specifically to maintain this illusion. They want you associating their brand with relief so you'll overpay out of habit and misplaced loyalty. A bottle of brand name pain reliever costs $15 for 50 pills. The generic version costs $4 for 200 pills. You're paying nearly 20 times more per dose for packaging. The wedding industry has created artificial price inflation by attaching the word wedding to ordinary services. A wedding cake costs 3 times what an identical cake costs if you just call it a party cake. Wedding photography costs twice what event photography costs. Wedding venues charge premium rates for the exact same space they rent cheaper for corporate events. The only variable is your willingness to pay more because you've been conditioned to believe weddings require premium everything. This conditioning starts early and runs deep. Bridal magazines, Pinterest boards, and social pressure create expectations that a proper wedding requires spending the equivalent of a down payment on a house. The average wedding now costs $30,000. That's $30,000 for a single day that could instead be a year of living expenses, investment returns that compound for decades, or literally anything more valuable than overpriced flowers and a DJ. The vendors know you're emotionally vulnerable and financially irrational, so they exploit both. They pitch packages and upgrades with language designed to make you feel guilty for considering cheaper options. Do you really want to skimp on the most important day of your life? Yes, actually, because it's one day and financial security lasts forever. ATM fees are pure profit extracted for accessing your own money. Banks charge you $3 to withdraw cash from a machine that costs them pennies to operate. Use an out-of-network ATM and you're hit twice, once by the ATM owner and once by your own bank. That's $6 to access $40, a 15% fee for basic account access. Do this twice weekly and you're spending over $600 annually just to touch your own money. There's no service being provided, no value being created, just a toll booth between you and your checking account. The solution is obvious. Plan ahead, use your bank's ATMs, get cash back at stores. But banks count on inconvenience and impulsivity. They've positioned ATMs everywhere specifically to catch you when you're not thinking clearly about the cost. Extended warranties function as legalized gambling, where the house always wins. Retailers push these because commission structures incentivize employees to sell protection plans more aggressively than actual products. Best Buy makes more profit margin on a $200 protection plan than on the $800 laptop it's supposedly protecting. Electronics fail at predictable rates. Manufacturer's warranty typically covers the period when defects actually occur. Extended warranties kick in after that window closes, covering years when failure rates are lowest. You're paying premium prices for coverage during the time you're least likely to need it. The math is deliberately obscured. A $300 extended warranty on a $1,000 TV means you're betting $300 that a product will fail within a specific window. The retailer is betting $300 that it won't. They have actuarial tables. You have anxiety. They win this bet so consistently that extended warranties represent 40 to 50% of their profit, despite being a tiny fraction of transactions. Lottery tickets are a voluntary tax on people who struggle with probability. The expected value of a lottery ticket is roughly 50 cents per dollar spent. You're guaranteed to lose half your money over time, yet millions of people treat this as investment strategy rather than entertainment expense. State lotteries specifically target lower-income demographics through advertising placement and retail location selection. They're not selling hope. They're exploiting mathematical illiteracy and desperation. The average household earning under $30,000 annually spends $400 on lottery tickets. That's more than they spend on books, movies, and sporting events combined. It's money extracted from people who can least afford to lose it, funding state budgets while disguised as voluntary participation. Premium fuel in standard engines delivers zero benefit while costing 15 to 20% more. Unless your vehicle specifically requires high-octane fuel, you're burning money that goes straight out your exhaust pipe unchanged. The octane rating measures fuel stability under compression, not energy content. Higher octane prevents engine knock in high-compression engines. In standard engines, it does absolutely nothing except cost more. Gas stations position premium pumps prominently and use marketing language suggesting performance benefits. They're counting on you not understanding how internal combustion works. That extra 50 cents per gallon adds up to $200 annually for typical drivers. You're paying premium prices for regular performance because marketing convinced you optimization requires spending more. Car dealership add-ons represent pure profit extraction during vulnerable decision-making moments. You've spent hours negotiating the vehicle price. you're mentally exhausted, and suddenly they're offering paint protection, fabric treatment, and VN etching for thousands of dollars. These services cost dealers under $100 to provide. They're marking them up 10 to 20 times because you're not thinking clearly anymore. Paint protection is wax, fabric treatment is Scotchgard, VIN etching is a $15 engraving tool. You can buy all of these at auto parts stores for $50 total and apply them yourself in an hour. But dealerships pitch them as essential protection for your investment, exploiting your post-negotiation fatigue and desire to protect something you just spent months researching. Hotel minibar pricing operates on captive audience economics. A bottle of water that costs 40 cents at the grocery store is $8 from your hotel minibar. Same product, 400% markup, justified by convenience you didn't actually need. Hotels stock minibars knowing most guests won't use them, but the percentage who do generate enough profit to justify the inventory cost. They're essentially running a convenience store with prices designed for people who've stopped caring about money because they're traveling. That $15 bag of nuts represents 30 seconds of decision-making where you valued convenience over cost. Hotels count on accumulating those 30-second decisions across thousands of guests. The solution is simple. Walk to a convenience store once and stock your room for a week at 1/10 the cost. Credit card interest is the most expensive money most people will ever borrow. Average credit card rates now exceed 22% annually. Carrying a $5,000 balance costs you $1,100 per year just in interest. You're working multiple weeks annually just to pay for the privilege of having borrowed money you've likely already spent. Banks structure minimum payments to maximize interest extraction. Pay only the minimum on that $5,000 balance, and you'll need 12 years to pay it off while spending over $7,000 in interest. You're nearly doubling the cost of whatever you originally purchased. This is why banks mail pre-approved credit offers constantly. They're not being generous. They're recruiting people into paying 22% annually for money that costs them 3% to acquire. Pet insurance rarely pays out more than you contribute. Policies exclude pre-existing conditions, have annual payout caps, and require deductibles that eliminate coverage for routine care. You're better off opening a dedicated savings account and funding it with your would-be premium payments. When something happens, you have actual money instead of policy limitations. Insurance companies aren't stupid. They've calculated that healthy pets generate premium payments for years before requiring expensive care. When expensive care finally arrives, policy exclusions and caps limit their exposure. You end up paying thousands in premiums while still covering major expenses out of pocket because your specific situation falls outside coverage parameters. The subscription economy has normalized paying forever for things you used to own. Software moved from one-time purchases to monthly fees. Media moved from ownership to access. Even cars are shifting towards subscription features. You're not buying products anymore. You're renting permission to use things, and that permission expires the moment you stop paying. Adobe Creative Suite used to cost $2,600 once. Now it's $600 annually forever. Over 10 years, that's $6,000 for software you'll never own. Companies made this shift because recurring revenue is more valuable than one-time sales. They've successfully convinced consumers that access is equivalent to ownership. It's not. Ownership means the product works regardless of corporate decisions. Access means you're one canceled subscription away from losing everything. The pattern here isn't complicated. Every expense that feels normal has been engineered to extract maximum money for minimum value. Companies realize they don't need to provide better products. They just need better marketing to convince you that overpaying is responsible adult behavior. You're not going to fix this overnight. You've got years of conditioning telling you these expenses are necessary. But here's what changes immediately once you see the pattern. That voice in your head justifying purchases gets quieter. The guilt about skipping premium options disappears. You stop confusing spending money with solving problems. Start with one expense from this list, just one. Calculate what you're actually paying annually versus what the alternative costs. Then redirect that difference into literally anything else. A savings account earning 4%, an index fund, a vacation fund, paying down debt faster. The specific destination matters less than breaking the cycle of paying premium prices for standard results. The companies selling you these financial traps aren't going to stop. There's too much profit in keeping you confused about value. But you can stop participating. Every dollar you don't waste on manufactured necessity is a dollar working for your future instead of someone else's quarterly earnings report. Your parents' advice about being a responsible consumer made sense in their economy. Brands meant quality. Extended warranties protected real value. Premium options delivered premium results. That world is gone. The new rules require you to question every expense that feels normal, because normal is exactly what's destroying your ability to build wealth.